going here. So, all right, so we actually have the two presentations here. So now, first of all, this thing on the right here, which is something like right out of a Hollywood movie, but I threw it together this morning and I just started and couldn't help myself. And so thought it's kind of an interesting, but this Airlink thing, by the way, it as long as it's connected to HPARC Airlink is actually trademarkable. So go figure, but that's down the line. All right, so next, excellent. Okay, I see two thumbs up there. All right, so I'm trying to put together a list of people and where they're working and the jobs. You saw, I guess I should have had the original. And this is what I've pulled together so far based on the emails and responses that I've been getting. So you can take a look here and you can see, there's multiple positions and certainly one person can take on a number of different aspects of that. So that's one thing I wanted to. And then I'm going to create, once we have that nailed down, and if anybody sees anything on here that they think needs to be changed, please let me know because I would like to change it. We would like to fill these positions, but at the same time, we would like to get people's strength, in areas that make sense and doing things where that number one, they like to do, and number two, things that they're good at doing. So I'm just trying to keep a staff list here. This is not carved in stone by any means, so that's all that. All right, and then once we do figure that out, we will augment our will this be a Facebook page or a page or these are people who I think are part of this project. And they're the people who are listed on this list, and this is what they look like in real life for the most part. So so think about that. All right, and again, let me know any changes or any ideas or any candidates or anything like that. I'm going to go with this list at least for now, and I'm more than happy to expand it, to change it in any way that would help the cause.
Hey, Joe,
Yes,
if you go back one more slide,
there.
excuse me, you have me down as archival or archivist or something. I don't know what
Oh,
word you
down
used.
here. Yeah.
And that still makes sense. That still works. I can still do that, no problem at all. What I had
Okay.
raised my hand to is number 5 on the needs for sign up, the PR guy. And what I was planning
Oh, yeah.
is I was planning on putting a
Oop.
something on our site. Um, you know, uh, Dart Grant weekly update. And
Yes.
here's what we did this week. Here's what
Yes.
was accomplished this week. Does that work for everybody?
Oh, it absolutely does, and I can certainly feed you information on that. I did one to I don't know what you call these people. They're not our host exactly, but to the donors, I guess, to keep them updated too, so they know that, we're moving along. But I meant to do that, and I'm glad you caught that, public relations. So, and is everything else there look RS systems and remote control, finance. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. So finance, the CERT coordinator, field testing, archival library, and now public relations. Okay. Other than that, not
Joe, you
doing.
want to take Bob WB8 ATZ off? He doesn't want to be part of the team. He
Oh,
said
he
he'd answer
doesn't.
questions if we have questions, but he doesn't want to be identified with the team.
Oh, okay. Okay. Um, I will do that. All right. Next. Okay. So we're going to work with two drawings. We're going to work with two drawings. This is an overall drawing of what the dart looks like in Oak Park, the main dart. And then, does anybody know who drew this? I don't either, but until further notice, we're going to go with it because it certainly looks
I have a
reasonable.
replacement.
What?
I have a replacement.
Fine. That's good. That's good. All right. This like popped up and I looked at it and okay, cool. All right. Next. Okay. So we were going to do Andrew. All right. Andrew's not here, but let me just run by his project a little bit. That just or his slideshow here, which you should see right about now. Now, I'm not Andrew Johnson, but I'll do the best I can. So what Andrew basically did, and I like this a lot, is first of all, the scope. Okay, the approved grant defines the scope of the project as being the following. So we're talking about antennas, the RF path, the repeaters, controllers, voters, VHF to UHF site networking, which is really the key part of this whole project. I mean, that's like the icing on the cake, is to be able to establish that wireless IP networking link between the two sites. And that would be the same technology we would use to do that, or the same platform, I should say, to do that, as we would use to integrate to the larger networks. Out of scope, as Andrew points out here, out of scope is, where's my screen? Sorry, hold on, when I brought up the new project. Yeah, so, okay. So out of scope are number one, connecting to those networks, okay? But this is going to be an experiment for us and a learning experience on how to establish that. And the hardest one is always the first link, and then the rest are pretty easy to follow after that. Also out of scope is coordinating with emergency services, that are who are not us. So that's something that we would take on separately, uh, when the time is right, which is not quite now. Okay, next. Well, I am just having a tough time tonight. All right, at the conclusion of this project, the goals below should be achieved. And I agree with these goals, and I also I have an extended list of something a little bit more detailed. But here, the VHF transmit losses reduced with installation of a new antenna and RF path. That's a tough one. We'll see. That's why it's important that we plot the current footprint of the antenna, the signal strength measurements before and after, and then we'll be able to determine whether our footprint is larger than what we originally had. So, and we certainly hope it is. Well, the new voting system. Details, I guess, are to follow. The voting system to me since day one has always been the number one culprit, and that absolutely needs attention of our brightest and our smartest to figure out how to do that, especially since there's no longer an analog system that does it. The RF link to the UHF site, crucial. That is the star achievement of the whole project, like I said. And importantly, the system should maintain its core functionality with the loss of the internet. Well, that's the whole point. I mean, if you look at, and does everybody have this? We have a mission statement that basically says, what our goals are and why we're doing this. And we're doing this to cover the loss of internet service due to either man-made or natural or Mother Nature
Hey,
there.
Joe,
Yes, go ahead. Oh, hi, John. How are you?
I disagree um, with this RF. The idea that your footprint, the problem right now with the antenna, I believe, is the receive side, not the transmit.
Right.
And that metric won't really address the receive.
I happen to
If we take RF
agree
readings
with you.
around town, that just tells you it's transmitting well. It don't say anything about this intermittent noise in the receive we're getting.
Right, which is a different issue. And I agree with you. I think that um, that the replacing the antenna, it will certainly elongate the life of the repeater, okay, into the next generation, really, next 2 or 3 decades. But it will not, I suspect, and I agree, I don't know that people, if you're expecting the footprint to be any stronger than it is, I guess we'll see. And that's why I think plotting it out is important so that we know for sure rather than relying on hearsay, you know? But the transmitting antenna, you know, we'll see. We'll just see on that. But I agree.
But the received noise in the repeater right now is not acceptable at all.
Okay.
I
No.
mean, it's almost not usable sometimes. If you listen to the Sunday Night Net,
Yeah.
you can't copy people.
Is
There's
that
something
because
wrong in the RF path is
right?
what I think has to be addressed,
What
really.
right? Which is being addressed actually, isn't it? Isn't it? It is because well, because we're replacing the antenna, we're replacing the feed line, the heliax, we
The
have to
duplexer.
and the duplexer. That's right. The second part, which was what I thought I was going to present tonight, is all the equipment on the equipment list and how it fits into our system, and so we can just see where some of the details need to be filled in before we move further. So that's this part two of this of tonight.
Okay.
All right. All right. So, and this is just understanding the contract. Okay. So here's an important one. All purchases must go through the club. And so the club has to establish an acquisition process, which we have to figure out who's going to do it, who's going to do the ordering, how's it going to be done, and what the process is going to be. So, but absolutely, nobody buys anything on their own. I mean, you're welcome to buy things on your own and donate it to the club, but that's what you'll be doing.
We're a 501c3, right?
Yes, we are. Yes.
Okay, good.
Uh,
We're just making sure.
Okay, online pricing may be acceptable in lieu of quotes. Okay, if they mean like the web page and has a price on it, oh, all right, I'll accept that. Installation services should have clearly defined scope of work and 3 quotes, absolutely, and it will, believe me, when it comes to clearly defined scope of work, I think we've got the technology to tackle that one. The board can approve deviations from the process if limited installation companies are available or other reasons. Okay, I don't think, from what I could tell, there's lots of folks out there ready to help, ready to be part, to be a vendor. So phased work, let's look at this. All right, phase one, I would agree. Purchase, install new antenna, mount the feed line, absolutely. Phase two, purchase and install a new voter and associated equipment. VHF repeater and RF path, yes, circulator, duplex, all that good stuff. Purchase and install networking equipment, VHF and UHF site, yes. And then purchase and install hardware needed for wires X on UHF, okay. All right.
Hey, Joe,
Yeah,
just for clarification, I don't see Bob on here. And
you
so
don't see
just
what?
I don't see Bob in the meeting.
No, I
And
don't
he's
either. And I don't
and
see
he's the
Andrew in the meeting.
and he's the finance guy. So I
Yeah,
just wanted to ask, does the when you talked about 3 quotes and you talked about blah 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 and all that stuff that we have to have,
yeah.
do when someone wants to buy something, do they go get 3 quotes and then bring it to Bob and say, I want to buy, here's my
No,
3 quotes? Is
I,
that
I
how we're going to do this?
we number one, we don't know yet how we're going to do this. I'm
Oh,
setting
okay,
up
I thought
the.
we were laying the ground rules now. I'm sorry.
No, I'm reading Andrew's presentation, and on some of these, this is new to me as well. But as far as that goes, I would like to schedule this week a meeting between Bob, yourself, and I to sit down and plot out not only that, but we have a number of issues of how do we get from where we are to actually signing the contract and transferring the funds. So, and we want to do that with, that meeting needs to take place between now and this Friday. So, so we can get moving on this.
Hey, Joe,
Yes, go ahead.
one thing about that financing and getting the approvals and all that is you probably want to exclude up to a certain dollar amount, like a petty cash purchase. If you need 100 feet of coax all of a sudden, you don't want to spend 3 weeks having meetings and getting approvals to buy 100 feet of coax. You should have like a petty cash limit, like say $100 or something like that, or 200, whatever. But
Uh, can I make a comment? This purchasing, you guys mentioned Bob. Well, Bob's just going to do the accounting part, I believe, but
Right.
as far as approval of the quote, the DART team, I think, will decide if it's the right thing to buy. And then I haven't quite, like you guys, I haven't quite figured out how the money will move at this point. But because I don't know if we get the money in a lump, or do we show them
Yes.
one thing we want to buy
Okay,
and we get
that's
that
a good-
amount?
But
I think we're going to have to manage that ourselves somehow.
yes,
That makes sense.
that's a fair question that we haven't even talked about. Basically, what happens is once we have a legal review, listen, the contract is quite simple, and it's very open and so on. So I don't expect really any problems. But from my personal point of view, the important thing, number one, is put the team together. And now that we see who's going to be part of this, then stepping forward and signing the contract for the $27,000, it's really the next step now that we have the team together. But we needed to see, first of all, is anybody going to be there? And I don't want to go into this, but Hugh could tell you stories of experiences that he's had in the past where things didn't quite turn out the way they were supposed to, and he ended up having to go above and beyond to put, I think this was one of the swap meets, I think, but it was quite a harrowing story. But so we want to just so we got the team, so we're confident with that. We got really a strong team, so no problems there. And what I really want to get to is the equipment. So let me get through this. And if Andrew joins us, we can come back to it. The second.
I'm on right now.
Oh, hey, Andrew, how are
Yeah.
you? Okay, great. Yeah. Good. We're just basically, I'm going through your presentation. Do you want to take over? You want to talk about it, or you want me just to continue? How do you want to do this?
Yeah, I could talk about it. Oh, you're gonna have to share though, because I'm on my phone. I can't get my headset working with my computer.
Oh, you're on your phone. Okay. Well, what we're looking at right here is we're going through the phases. We went through your other, the scope, which is absolutely correct. Thank you for pointing out, like we're not part of, the larger networks, but we're going to use the link between the two sites as kind of an experimental learning experience to learn how to do all that. And then we went through the conclusions that you have here, our project goals. I have a few more goals to add in there so we can get our list together. And now the purchasing process. And so, which we're going to meet this week. I got to get with Bob, honestly, Bob and Mike and whoever. So we'll figure out. We don't know what the process is. We gotta plot that out. So of course we're technical people, so we always talk about technical things first, right? But this is correct. The phase work is absolutely right. And hold on a minute. Let me get rid of this.
Can I add something?
Please go ahead. Yes.
Wait.
What?
First phase, antenna, feed line, grounding, duplexers, circulator. Second phase, voter, RF path equipment, etc. Third phase, just want to make sure I've included the duplexers and circulator in the phase one.
Wait, hold on. I can't hear. Just a second.
Yeah.
Trying to be polite, honest. I still haven't taken my
Mike-
medicines.
Mike, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? chaos unfolding in here. Say that again, please.
Okay, I would like to see the first phase to be the VHF antenna, feed line, grounding, uh, duplexers, and circulator. And that would be the first phase.
It is. That's
And
what the first phase
second
is. That's
phase,
correct.
the second phase would be the point-to-point bridge between the 440 and the 2 meter. And then
You
the
can't.
third
You have,
phase would be the work on the remote receiver point-to-point bridge
all right, Mike. Let me
project.
come back to that. We have the phases. You have to replace the equipment at both ends before you work on the link. So, but hold that. Let me get through this so we can talk about the equipment, which is the individual components, and then we'll talk about how we're going to string them together. So can you just hold that thought if you don't mind? All right. The second phase would be to replace the VHF voter. I would agree with all that. And other components in the RF path. Yes. And so you can see here. So this is, and then the third phase is the RF link. So, all right. Okay, that sounds reasonable, very reasonable. All right, so that's Andrew, that. So now, first of all, do we have any questions on any of that? And I know it was kind of bumpy here, but the dog.
He's going to turn it over to Andrew, have Andrew pick it up.
Yes, so Andrew, let's do that. You want to, hold on, I'm sure I lost it. Just a second. Andrew, are you there, Andrew?
Yeah.
Okay, so I know you can't see the slides. Do you want to talk to them at all? Do you have anything to add to what?
No, I think you covered everything. I would just say, as far as the phases go, it's kind of fluid, right? There's nothing that says we can't, be working on one or two things at the same time. It's just kind of for like the prerequisites. The reason why phase one was just the antenna is because that work was already kind of going on in the background, right? With that, before we got the grant, right, we were going to just do the antenna and mount. So that's kind of why that's just phase one, since that has already been in progress. So it could even be, phase 1A, phase 1B, being, like Mike said, the antenna mount and feed line would be 1A, and then 1B would be everything else that he mentioned. So the phases really aren't set in stone, right? It's just kind of a way to group everything, so we could kind of break down each, the whole project into more manageable chunks. And then I think with the hardware and all that was in the grant, that's also not set in stone either. Right? If we decide, instead of whatever repeater we put down there, whatever antenna we put down there, if it's something else, as long as it's substantially similar, right? It doesn't really matter.
Right, and we're going to look at that closely here in a minute. But the phases, I think it's reasonable to, the antennas phase one, like you said, it's in process. Replace the equipment at the main site, phase two. Replace equipment at the UHF site, phase three, and then the link in between, because that would be that's the thing that takes the most thought, and could possibly be, depending on what the antenna situation is.
I got a comment on that sequence, Joe.
Yes, go ahead, John.
That link that you started talking about, the internet link, until that's in, the upgrade of the UHF don't matter. Because the reason we're upgrading the UHF link is to get the rooms software working. And that don't work without the internet.
Got
Just
it.
making sense. You have to have that internet link for the rooms to work. And the only reason we need the new repeater is to use the rooms module.
And can you explain to us what is that module?
Oh, I don't know the right word for it. It's why I'm
But what does
hammering
it do
around.
though? I mean,
It's the Fusion Internet link. Does anybody know what I'm
Wires
talking
X,
about?
Yeah.
wires.
Yeah, Wires X is
it's
the
like
same thing.
Wires X, that's the right word.
Yeah.
Okay, now I know what you're talking about.
It's
Okay, got
Wires
it, got
X.
it, got it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, well, that's got to have the internet.
Right,
And,
right.
and Wires X won't work with the old repeater. We need the new repeater for Wires X to work. So that's sort of the sequence. That's why
Okay.
that internet link is real important.
Before the UHF site is done?
I mean, yeah, you need it um, to able to get that Wires X working.
Yeah.
So you're saying that should come in like phase 2, John?
Yeah, what is that? Yeah,
Yeah, so
purchase.
the way that I had it set up is the VHF would be 1 and 2, and then 3 would be the networking, and 4 would be the UHF site. But the other caveat to that is depending on the voting system that we go with, if we do something like All-Star Link or All-Star Voting or whatever it's called, we might have to move that networking equipment up because that would need the radio over IP.
But the networking equipment is to connect the UHF and the VHF. It doesn't have anything to do with voting or with the remote receives.
So we could do depending on how we set it up, we could also put equipment at the remote receive sites. And then instead of going over the UHF path, the audio gets digitized along with the signal strength at the
Oh,
receive site.
you're
And then
using
it
the word
sends it over.
UHF sites to mean remote receive?
No, so on the slide, UHF is UHF. But one of the things that we could do with the networking equipment, and again, right, it depends. Are we just going to do the analog voting like we do now, just with the new voter, or are we going to go to using that all-star voting, which is all digital, and that
But
requires
we
like a
don't. Oh,
server and some other stuff?
Oh, you're worried about the networking equipment at the main site? Is that what you're worried about?
Yeah, so we're when we install it at the main site, right now the only thing that we have planned for it is linking the UHF site to the internet, and that's it. However, we could also use that if we put the corresponding equipment at the remote sites. We could use that network connection to pipe over the remote audio along with the signal strength. So
That's a
because
good
we
point.
have the signal strength and the time and all that, the voting becomes very easy, and it automatically will go with whatever's the strongest. It doesn't have to measure it
So you're
at
talking
the
about
main site.
providing internet at all the remote receive sites?
Well, not internet, just a network connection, right? So ideally, it has nothing to do with the internet at the remote sites, right? So if the internet goes down, everything still works. It's like a local area network, right? Where it's a network, but it's not connect. It's separate from the internet. And
Now, it's
again,
also
that's
not the MI6 stuff, I guess you're saying.
no, and it really to I'm trying not to muddy the waters, but we have to understand what kind of voting technology we're going to use, right? If we're going to,
Well, that's
either
my
fix the
quandary. It's
existing.
like the south one at the airport now, there's Wi-Fi in the building. So, and if the internet goes down, who cares that we're missing one remote receive? I mean, I think
Well,
it's overkill.
we okay.
But
Yeah,
that's
not
just
to
my
get
opinion.
But,
At the
yeah,
east side, I'm not sure if we can get on the hospital internet or not. So maybe you need
right.
one there. So you
Can
want to
we
run a ubiquity between each site.
can we put that in the parking lot just for now, only because those are valid questions. They need to be answered. They need attention. But what I really wanted to focus on tonight was going through the equipment list so that we can just see where the problems are. And
yeah,
then,
it's probably good to skip to that now. We could
okay,
probably just
yeah.
pull that
So
up. Yeah.
but this is very well laid out. 100, agree. Well done. And Andrew, as always, thank you for the fine work you do for us here. All right. So where was I? Oh, okay. So Andrew, so this was Andrew's presentation. Okay, so this is the list. I just cut and pasted it from the proposal. So, and I left off UHF because too much to absorb in my feeble mind here. So at the VHF site, so you can see antenna, hardline duplexer, on, and some common equipment that we could talk through. We have some of these tools, but it'd be nice to have them for the club as well. So now, and then of course the bill of materials for the networking equipment. Okay. So first off, of course, the talk of the day is our antenna, right? This is what we currently have. So it's 40 years old, even more, 1990s. I don't, that's a long time ago, it seems.
Before nineties, before nineties.
Before the, yeah. So
It was
it's
1988.
1988. And so
You want to be,
we want to leave the next generation the same deal where they're amazed that it lasted so long, even though the weather's supposed to be getting worse than what it is. But here are our two competitors for the day. On the left here, we have one antenna, the Super Station Master fiberglass, and then on the right, of course, is the folded dipole, the 4-bay folded dipole antennas there that we were looking at. By the way, interesting, Andrew, which is a great, terrific company, and they were in the satellite business. They did anyway. They were purchased by CommScope, who went out of business, or they're having financial problems. So they were now sold off to Amphenol, which is another terrific company. Anyway, nobody cares. But take a look at the gain of the gain here of the antenna here. Of course, gain we have a gain here of. See, in dBi, that's important. Don't get it confused with dBd. dBi is dB over the can't remember the word, where the antenna
Isentropic. Yeah, isentropic.
isotropic. Thank you. Couldn't remember that name. The isotropic versus a comparison to the dipole, which is dBd. But the point that I'm getting at, dBi 7.4 with the vertical, the folded dipole now is 8.1, right? So that's 7/10 of a dB more gain with the folded dipole. So that's in the good column. But look at this difference. Speed, and you got to look at miles per hour, okay, not kilometers. So speed, 175 mile an hour winds, that's not bad. The other one is only 81 miles an hour. That's almost 100 mile an hour difference. So what can
I
I
was
say?
just going to ask about that, Joe, because when you were on the other page, because I know you're concerned about wind, and I'm thinking he's recommending a folded dipole.
No, I'm not. I did originally because, and I think others too who have looked into this.
Well, and I got
was
nothing wrong with the
me.
antenna until I think about how much more surface area there is to catch wind.
Well, that's right. That's right. And that's part of it. Yeah. So anyway, I think unless somebody has
Well,
wants to
I
vote.
picked the folded dipole to start with. That was my fault, Mike.
Yeah, well, well, everybody
No
went that route.
fault. No fault.
Yeah.
No
Well,
fault.
I see the folded dipoles up all over the place, and they're still up. They've been up for 30 years. So I just to
Right.
start with, then we're going to go with this super station monster, right?
I don't know if it's the same folded dipoles or not, but you know what? Most cities and police stations and stuff have the folded dipole, but I
They
don't know if
do.
it's the same one.
It's probably similar. I
I
mean,
mean, as far
there's
as
only oh,
when, you know, do they
well,
have 150 mile an hour folded dipole?
I not that I'm aware of, but I've learned a lot of things since this project has started that I wasn't aware of. So something to think about, but we
So
want to be
Joe,
there at the worst possible time. We want to be the one station that survives.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, all right. So okay, so that's that. Also on there was the Heliax, so that's, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. And here's an example of how 435, per foot. So not, it's not a bad price. And these are the key specifications of what we could use there. So I think that that's not a big deal itself. Pasternak, of course, you pay a premium, but they have only high quality stuff. I mean, if that's another possible source. So
I went on what's it called? Antenna something, and priced it quite a bit cheaper than
could be,
$4
yeah.
a foot.
Well,
I don't know
certainly,
where to get the unless it's plenum rated.
yeah, yeah. No, well, this has to be outdoor rated, so um,
Excuse me.
it's
Pardon me.
it's the same thing. I mean, what's the difference between being plenum rated and outdoor, exterior? I mean, anyway, good point. Okay, but Pasternak, yeah, they're nobody beats their price. Uh, that's for sure, but in the different wrong direction. Anyway, okay, so then now here's where John AAAUU, I know, has ideas, and I'm interested in hearing your feedback on this here. I know at one point we we spoke about replacing the duplexers, and you had some feelings about it, I think. I mean, other than the connectors, which are like gone almost, So, John, do you have anything more to add to the conversation on that?
A 6 bay and new connectors. Yeah, I did check, I think that one, and they are N types. And that's the problem. One we have right now are PL 259s. The price that what's his name? Al gave us from Wallace was like $800. So I don't understand the difference here between
That's
eight
quite a
hundred
bit of
dollars
difference.
and $3,100. So
Okay.
I'm not
What
ready to
are,
buy. I just
yeah,
um
I think that
I'm ready to, I mean, I really think I need to go up there this week and clean the duplexer because that Sunday night net was just horrible with the
but I
internet.
don't think that noise coming from the repeater?
Don't know. That's why I've said we have to isolate that noise
Yeah,
and know where the source is before we start disassembling anything.
No,
yes,
I've cleaned it before and I think it improves that noise.
yeah,
Because the noise is not on transmit at all. It's clean when you hear the repeater ID and that.
yeah,
But people coming in, um, unless they got a nice signal, they're going to break up. And I quite honestly am really tired of everybody complaining about it.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
with everything
Well,
that went wrong with me Sunday night, I was ready to head for the bourbon store.
Oh, you were running it last week, weren't you?
Well, yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah. Yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, it
so,
was. And it could be the rain in the antenna. I don't know where it's coming from, but I I, I do believe if I clean that duplexer connections, it'll sound a little better because it's probably
so,
been 2 years since I cleaned it.
okay.
Me and
So,
Bob cleaned it, ATZ.
so what John's talking about, Len and everybody, is, on the PL 259 on the female connector, the center pin, it's supposed to grab onto the center pin. Well, that has become so loose that it's just barely touching. So that's one of the problems with the current one. But in looking at these, number one, our minimum frequency separation, we're 600 kilohertz. It does 400, so we're good there. Maximum power, 350 watts. That's certainly not a problem. So the receive transmit isolation, okay, 400 dB, all right, measured at 400 kilohertz. So that's the key thing right there, 400 dB there. And we got a couple to choose from. You got the Telwave, you got this one from Italy. They're similar. I mean, they're all really very similar. DB Spectra has their version of it. So we certainly have a lot. We certainly have some choices, and we'll talk about it more. But it's again, remember the isolation between the transmit and the receive, include and the insertion loss is something to consider there. But so
Also, Joe, I also noticed some places will tune it for you. You give them the frequencies,
yes, yes,
and
yes.
and tuning them is not easy. So I'd rather have them do it.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's like tuning a grand piano,
Ooh,
it's
really?
yeah. I mean, from what I heard, I've never had the pleasure of trying to tune it, but um, anyway, it's something there. Now, the star of the show, ladies and gentlemen, the Motorola SLR 5700 digital repeater. Personally, I'm a very strong Motorola supporter. I've worked with equipment most of my career, frankly, and I'm fine with it, except there's a problem with it. So it's single channel, analog or digital, so that's a good thing. It will do 12 and a half kilohertz slots, bandwidth slots. Oops, I don't know why this keeps changing, but um, 50
Oh,
watts. Okay, it's 50 watts, so it's a
yeah.
little less, but we're really only putting out about 80 watts now.
But
And they
we're
have this thing called Moto Turbo architecture. I have no idea, but somebody in marketing probably got a raise coming up with that.
I think that's DMR.
yeah, that's a DMR system. But
Right. So that's my question. Go ahead, John. I just cut you off. Go ahead.
well,
But
that 50 watts means we'll only be putting out about 30 or 40. I mean, now
right,
we're putting out 80 because the transmitter puts out 100.
right,
So,
exactly. So that would mean we may need to think about an amplifier uh
right.
if we want to do that. So another thing, and these are the fine details that we need to work out, but it's a fine piece of equipment. I mean, listen, it's Motorola. These are the specifications of it all. Can we mount this like on the web page, or I'll send this to everybody here on the call. How's it? Let me just make a note. Let me just see who's on the call here.
Okay.
Question.
Yeah,
And I'll send this, and then you guys can look at it at your leisure there. We can put it on the website, I guess.
Is it
All right, the
compared to the one
next.
we have?
I'm sorry, Wyatt?
Or is it compared to the one we have?
You mean
I'd like
compare
to do
this
that.
to the one that we have, you mean?
Yes.
Now that's a good idea. Like they do here. Like let's say this was what, how they I know what you mean. Good idea. Very good idea.
Yeah. What functions and features does this bring that we're missing now?
Exactly. Okay, good. Good point. I wish I would have thought of it. Well,
Well,
I
Uh,
did
yeah,
think of it. I did think of it here for the repeater controller, RCOM, which I'm not familiar with, but okay. So talk about features. Holy Toledo, look at this. Now, I because I was focused on putting slides together and not reading everything, I have to come clean and tell you that I didn't read all this, but it certainly looks. I'm not sure what is important, what isn't, but again, I'll send this out to everybody, and if you guys can take a look and let us know. So anyway, this is that. So it has
I,
lots
I
of.
looked at it on ordering, and it looks like each additional radio you have to buy a little module for it. And
Okay.
since we typically run the internet audio as a separate radio, we'd have to buy one of those. That's the only thing I noticed different. Oh,
Okay.
and the voices, that's another optional card, which we'd probably want. But
Ooh, what could we transfer the voices? Well, that's not a big problem, but
yeah, that's
something to
it
think
goes in a
about.
little SD card. And
Yeah, because those voices are key to, you know. All right, just one thing. So what is a circulator, right? Anybody want? Okay, so I pulled this out of our course there, circulator and isolators. So it's like it's an RF one-way street sort of a thing. And if you look here, here's what it looks like. So if you have the transmitter, what happens is energy will only flow like in the left to the left, counterclockwise, let's say. If you put energy in port 1, it only comes out port 2. You put energy in port 2, it only comes out port 3. The point being here is it'll prevent, and this was really important when they had all that telephone equipment up on the roof, which is now gone, thank goodness. But to keep stray RF out of the HPA, the high power amplifier, because when stray RF gets into the HPA from the antenna side, it mixes and causes intermodulation and all kinds of other ugly things. So this is a way of that's what this thing is. And so to give you an idea, so for example, if this is the antenna, and let's say this is the radio port on this side, any energy coming back down from the antenna because it's receiving would be routed down to the dummy load here, and it just gets buried so that the output of the transmitter will never see it. And so you can see here's what some measurements that we took there with Sean, and John was there and some others, but you can see. So anyway, that's what the isolator is all about. So here's what it kind of looks like. You can see. So this bad energy is coming. This should have been the first slide, I guess. The bad energy is coming in. It goes down the antenna, and then what happens is the circulator just routes it right to the dummy load. Whereas on the transmit side, it'll route the transmit energy right back to the antenna. So that's what that's all about. So there you go. And then here's the circulator that is quoted, the exact circulator that is quoted. So we'll take a closer look at that. But I mean, there's not much here. I mean, oh, maximum forward power, 10 watts. Oh, well, that just caught my attention. So we'll have to take a look at that and get something a little bit more juicier there.
That
All
may
right.
be why the 76, the Spirit of 76, only operates their repeater at 5 watts. And then they have an amplifier after that at the output.
Is that what they do? 5? Well,
Yep.
because they're digital. Yeah.
Yep.
No
They,
kidding.
No, you said it goes to an amplifier.
Yeah, their repeater loafs along. They figure it'll last longer that way, and they can replace the amplifier anytime, But you don't want your main radio to go on, yeah. So,
Yeah.
anyway, something to think about.
That
That's the way
frequency
our
range,
UHF
right?
is.
Joe, is that frequency range right? 1.7 to 2.4 gig? What is that for the?
I
Yeah,
think that's
the
a
other
model
thing that
for
doesn't work
microwave,
for. All right, this obviously is not the
not
one
our
we
model.
want. We'll get it. We'll get that. So there are a gazillion of these. But good point. So we'll make a note of that. All right, next. There we go. Okay, so these are for the remote receivers. And we need to take a closer look of exactly how this would hook up. The Riesu radios, to think that a radio like this would replace a Motorola, not Mycore, but the technology that we have today is absolutely amazing. But these are all the things that it does. Oops, sorry, go back. These are all the things that it does, power wise and so on. But we would just pretty much use this as what exactly, how this would work, because we would need a transmitter side. So we need to kind of nail this down a little bit more. And
We could use it just to look at because it's not the right receiver for remote receivers.
right.
Right. Yeah,
Unless
right
you
now
want to
there are
put filters.
Linkos. There are Linkos with a digital interface.
Can I also just ask real quick, Andrew, I thought you cut all the remote stuff out of this.
Yeah, no, that was just at the individual remote receive sites. This, I think, was
Understood.
listed under the main site for the remote receive.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Okay, good point. All right, anyway, so this needs to be fine-tuned a little bit there. Now for the voter, oh boy. This little guy here, exactly how I feel. What are we doing for the voter? Good point. So we have, oh, first of all, for the voter and the All-Star link and Echo link and all that. So we'll have to look at whatever combination of all this stuff works. So we'll take a look at that. And that's where, really, that's where Dave and Tony, and that's where we really need your help on this because we're RF guys here, and anyway, okay. So then here's the again this drawing that somebody said they had a replacement that would be nice to include, and then here are basically this is what was on the list there. So some Ubiquity Wi-Fi access points. And the Ubiquity routers. This thing is the coolest. I think the Watt box. First of all, just the name, the Watt box, is terrific. But I've seen outlet strips like this where you can totally shut down and reboot things individual. What a great invention this really is. So.
Yeah, there's one in there now. It's just a different brand.
Oh, is that right? Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
if you go
All
back,
right.
you can see it. It's the IPAC outlet.
Hey, John, who drew this? Do you know?
Me.
Oh, so you drew it. Okay, got it. Okay, thank you. Um, so I'm sorry, where?
Where it says IPAC outlet Wi-Fi
On the right.
over on
Oh,
the,
right here. Got it.
yeah,
Okay.
and that just goes to the repeat of the computers, so you can reboot them.
I see. Yeah. But also, if we wanted to reboot other things, I know sometimes you just gotta.
Yeah, there's a special one. I think Tony was aware of it that they make for routers.
Yeah.
That
It's Wattbox. That's the one that's for routers because you can actually set it up to do a ping loop, and if it drops it, it'll automatically reboot itself.
Yeah, this one here, if the router goes, you can't reboot the router because it's on the downside of the router.
So,
Well, the
okay.
Wattbox actually runs its own watchdog. So you can tell it, hey, like watch Google or watch bbc.co.uk or something, and that just keep hitting that website. And if it loses it, then reboot channel number one on the switch and it'll
Yeah, that's the
reboot
way I have the
itself.
Echo Link set up
Yeah.
on its own. It pings, and if I don't get something back, it'll eventually reboot.
Yeah.
But that's just the Raspberry Pi.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
We use
that's
the
what.
Wattbox in work. So I'm very familiar with that particular device.
Well, good. All right. So that's what I have. I couldn't, that's all I can come up with in one day. So we have that. We got lots of slides, but I think this is about what we can absorb here. Honestly, I'm going to reach out. I'll do this tomorrow. I'll reach out to Bob and Mike, and if anybody else is interested in the finance of this, uh,
Oh,
because I got to figure out what we don't know. It's not that it's complicated, but we got to set up a definite sequence or process for ordering and how we're going to do that and all that. So, um,
sort of an approval process, and then
and the
who buys
approval
it, and
process,
yeah.
right?
Can I ask one quick question?
Of course, yes.
What did I understand that you were planning on maybe using the Handy Talkie as a complete remote receive site?
No,
I
just to
did-
receive.
That's what I understood it to be.
So we need to take a closer look at
Are they
that.
durable enough? I mean,
Well,
they're not
we're
really
not
made for a
sure.
100% duty cycle.
Yeah, we're not.
Well, that's
What-
just to receive, John.
Be just for receive.
Yeah, we would have to put a pre-selector, RF pre-selector in, maybe filtering. So there's a lot more than just that.
Well, my comment is that east side is an Alinco mobile, and I think it works pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah,
All right.
mobiles are a little bit more durable than a handheld, I think. But
And again, it's receive only.
yeah,
Right. All great questions. Right. Exactly. I mean, this is the first run through, so we'll get an email chain going throughout the week here. We'll start getting some details. Honestly, I would like within the next 7 days to be able to finalize everything. And we'll have a better picture after I speak with Bob and Mike there. And we'll figure out how to go about this and then start moving. Phase one is the antenna. We all agree on that. So we'll get that work moving. And I know Mike has reached out to one of the vendors, right? The antenna vendors, and you're talking
Yes.
to them. So I think now we have a
And
good
again,
idea.
that's just to get a price. You
Yeah,
don't
just
have
to get a
to pick
price.
that vendor.
So what the ideal thing to do, because we want to get to get multiple prices, to have one RFQ, request for quotation. So everybody's working off this exact same piece of paper. They know exactly what we want, and we know exactly what we want, which doesn't always align with each other. And then go from there.
Hey,
So
Dave, what was the vendor you recommended?
who are you talking to?
The installation company,
Yeah,
Trendset, Trendset.
okay. I just thought if you want three, they would be one of them. And they're
Okay.
And I
local.
do have a contact there as well.
Oh, if you could,
Yeah,
Okay.
because I'm unaware other than the one that was up at the site, ComScore or whatever it is.
yeah,
Okay.
which is
That's
Then I
okay.
thought,
Well,
who else does this?
Trendset
You
does
got
all
two.
of Oakland. Trendset does all of Oakland County Sheriff's Towers.
Okay. I got
okay.
concrete, pavers, interiors.
Right?
Oh, that's not Google.
Are we doing a driveway? What are we doing here?
I'll look around and see.
Exchanging info, that's all.
And all we're doing is let's see how much it costs to have a two-way radio company put all this stuff in for us.
Well, we have to give him we have to give him a formal piece of paper saying this is what we want, right? It's got to be, and
Yeah.
it's got to be the same for everybody. So
RFQ.
RFQ, that is correct. Not to be confused with an RFP, which follows later, a request for purchase. Okay.
Now,
Which is
Funny,
very
I've always
follow-
known it as request for qualification and then request for price is what I always knew it as.
Okay. All right.
So
Well,
that's, can you do this work? And then how much will it cost?
how much
That's
will
what
it
I
cost?
always knew it
yeah,
as.
that's what I basically asked, but it wasn't in a formal letter, so we can get that straightened out later.
I like the government request for information. Those are fun.
Oh my gosh.
I do have another tidbit of information. Telewave, I guess a Telwave
Oh,
makes
yeah.
the dipole antennas, the same 4-pole polar dipole. If I read this right and I read the other one wrong, it says wind rating 175 miles an hour.
Oh, which
With
one?
half inch of ice, 150 miles an hour.
Nice.
What was that? Tell me again. I'm sorry.
Telwave. And if I could find where I downloaded it, I'll send it to you.
Oh, if you would
Send
please.
the
Thank you.
document.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need
Or
to collect
the
this
data
stuff.
sheet.
Well, I'll say this. This is an incredible opportunity. I mean, like rolling along here, and it's let's have some fun, but let's be serious about it. And if we do this right, I bet that there might be more to follow. You know what I mean? So let's show them what we're made out of here, and we'll go from there.
I just
All right.
dropped the link for Trendset in the chat.
Is it
Oh.
oh, okay.
What does that mean? Okay. All right. So I'll send
So
this.
Joe, just
Oh, Michigan Wireless, that's why I couldn't find it.
What's that?
Okay.
I'm sorry, somebody just asked a question, or did they?
We done?
Yeah,
Yes,
Joe, it's Tony. Just real quickly, I like your idea of getting decisions made this week. So I think as part of your email, when you send stuff out, put down specifically what you want us to answer or decide so that we are specifically answering your questions. And the next Monday, we've got either a decision made or we're just saying, yes, we're going with this. Because, otherwise
yeah,
we're just going to keep going round and around and around. And so I like your idea. And if you can be very specific, saying, we're recommending this antenna, we're recommending this feed line, we're recommending this, duplexer, just very specific stuff. And we all agree to it so that next Monday, this meeting should be very quick and saying, okay, we agree. Let's go to Bob to request the money or whatever the next step is.
yeah. And that really is the next step. And then fine tuning this exactly, and we'll get the money in the bank. It comes, by the way, it comes as one lump sum. Somebody has to step up and sign for $27,000, which, as president, I guess, I get the privilege. But we just want to make sure that everything is in place and we're solid, and it looks like we are, and we've got a great team. This is really going to change the direction of this club, I think, and it's a great project, and we want to get as many people involved on whatever levels that they're interested in. So thanks for dropping in tonight. I'll send this out here shortly, and
One more thing, Joe.
all right, we'll be in touch. Yeah. Oh,
well,
sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one,
Go
one
ahead.
more quick thing. For the dart this week on the repeater, whatever I called it. Feel free, everybody, feel free to send me bullet points of what you think the club should know, so I don't miss stuff. Why didn't
Yeah.
he put
You
that
want to
in
call
there?
me?
Mike's telling him everything,
You
but he
know,
didn't.
to your
That's
point about
important.
that, I noticed the AI companion, if you look at the bottom of
Okay,
the
I'll just
screen
hang
right
on.
now, it's doing a great job of summarizing. So you can ask it questions or query stuff. And it's, if nothing else, it's a great transcription of this whole meeting. So I really encourage you to look at that. I looked at it during the meeting.
Yeah, we
and
use it all the
will
time.
answer your question.
We use it all
Yeah,
the
so
time.
I'm just, Mike was saying, send
Oh,
it,
yeah,
but it's already there.
Yep, true.
Yeah. Tony, you're absolutely right, and it's like scary impressive.
It is.
Really, the way
Scary
it's so
accurate.
Yeah,
accurate
pretty
and
soon we
helpful.
won't even have to have the meetings, Joe. We won't, we'll just let the AI handle it all.
But you do have to check it. Sometimes when it does make a mistake, sometimes it's a real whopper. So you gotta double check everything. All right. Anyway, Tony, thanks for dropping in. Tony and Dave, thank you both. And Mike and the other Mike and John and Mark and Len and everybody. Good night. We'll
Joe,
check your emails.
would you-
Yes, go ahead,
Oh, you
David.
think it's some kind of
You-
interference? Hang on, let me make sure I'm muted here. I'm not.
Oh, wait.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can you send me the overall budget of the project, please? Like how it's broken down?
I can, and I'm trying to think of where I have that. Yes, I will do that. That's information for everybody on the team. We need to get that. See, that's something we need, a shared drive where we can, yeah. Um,
Well,
There's a Google Drive
I had a
with
Google
the
Drive set up that Joe and John and all Glenn, they can all look at all the documents that I've accumulated. I mean, I've stopped uploading because I wasn't sure which way to go, but I
Yeah.
have a Google Drive set up and I have documents shared to you guys. Now, if the club has or the Dart has a drive, Google Drive, then I can move all the documents over there.
who
That way
knows?
it's a club drive and not just mine.
Right, exactly. Because we want yeah, I use a OneDrive. Um, I don't even know who to ask. I don't even know who our IT. Well, all right, we'll have to figure this out.
Well, the
Okay,
videos are on YouTube, so
that's one thing that is working, and thank you, John, for
So we're
that.
gonna embarrass ourselves on YouTube, huh,
oh,
John?
absolutely.
All right, generations from
Maybe I
now,
should
we'll
have
look
come to the
back
meeting
upon us.
naked and make it worthwhile.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody. Good night. Have a good evening, and check your emails. And Hugh, I see Hugh checked in. Hello, Hugh, in case you're still there. All right. See you later. Bye-bye.
73, everybody.
Where's my stuff?